Hey everyone, welcome to another video, welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike. Today we are doing a swatch party with my MAC eyeshadow palette. And because I've got quite a few MAC shadows, I've decided to just do this. I thought I could rope in some of my other, older, these are all quite old, older singles that I sort of started my singles collection off with, which would be my Makeup Geek palette, as well as my INGLOT. But if you would like to see an in-depth video on all of my Makeup Geek eyeshadows, I actually already have a video up. I do already have one up with my MAC palette too, but I actually changed a couple of the shades in this one. But this one I've never added to, I never changed anything. So if you just go and watch that video, it's going to be up to date, because as you can see, I don't have any of the new Makeup Geek shades. I only have the older round pan style, and while I still love all of these shades with my whole heart, I just feel that some of the colors that I put in here are not necessarily, like this part here, lovely shades, great quality, but they're not necessarily my jam. So I will just link you maybe in the cards and also in the description box down below to Makeup Geek content that I already made with this palette. And I will do the same thing with my INGLOT stuff, because again, INGLOT is a brand I haven't shopped from in a hot minute. So again, if I just link you to some of the blog posts that I did with this, I believe I did a blog post swatching all of these shades out. The only thing I've changed about my INGLOT selection is that I put it in this Freedom System palette that fit all of the shades in one go, rather than all of these little palettes, because I had two 5 pans and one 10 pan. So I just decided to put all the colors together in a more cohesive color story a while ago. So again, I already have content up swatching all of these shades, but it's not in video form, it's on my blog, but I can show you that as well. So make sure to make sure to check the links in the description box, and right now I'm just going to update you on what's in my MAC palette. Let's just start there, because I think when I first got into makeup, which was more than a decade ago, the brand everybody raved about was MAC, and everybody was buying their eyeshadows, and I very quickly realized that I was probably going to buy a few of these. And this was, I guess, around the time or just before Urban Decay came out with their Naked one. And before that, these 12 pan palettes just weren't a thing. All brands were doing were little quads and trios, and then singles. So I definitely bought a lot of singles when I first got into makeup, which I then depotted and stuck into something like a Z palette like this. But I ended up breaking so many of them, and it was just a right old faff, and then I ended up never using them again. So what I actually decided to do once I started buying MAC was to immediately start buying single pans that I could stick in a palette. Now this palette has gone through many different renditions throughout the years. I've added shades, I've thrown shades away, then I put in some other ones again. I used to have it in their classic thin plastic packaging back when this was just 15 shades. That stopped fitting, so I took the insert out, put the shades in that, and then that became a bit too small, and then they were redoing their palettes. So I decided to buy one of their double-sided palettes, but that was just a bit too big and clunky, and then I just committed to buying a larger size Z palette and put it in here. What you need to know about MAC shadows is that the shadows themselves are magnetized. So they actually don't stick in a Z palette. So these are actually completely loose. They don't stick down. So if you just keep this safe and secure like this in your makeup drawer, nothing will happen to it. But I don't recommend traveling with it for sure. Then you're gonna need a MAC palette, because what you see with most single shadows is that the pan is not magnetized, but the palette is. So a Z palette is magnetized, but the MAC shadows actually have magnets in them, and that's how they stick them into their palettes. So this actually means that because two magnets, of course, will have the same sort of polar sides, will of course push themselves away. So that's what's happening with these shadows. So if you do want to put MAC shadows into a Z palette, I would be very careful, and you need to make sure that it's filled to the brim and there are no gaps, because even with them all filled, I sometimes open up this palette and then a shade has shifted over another one and things like that. So you do have to be very careful. However, this is just what works for me. And these are some of my OG kind of shades. I did add these 3 towards the bottom last year when I went to New York. MAC singles really depends how expensive they are, where you get them. So back when Makeup Geek launched, one thing that was so revolutionary about Makeup Geek was because they were doing lots of MAC dupes at like $5 a pop, making MAC drop their prices, but not everywhere. If you buy a MAC single shadow without a pan in the Netherlands, it's still the old 12 to 13, maybe by now 15 euro price point. In the US, they've dropped their prices, and that's why I decided, because I was going to the US anyway, to get a couple ones to round out the palette and to go with more of what is my current vibe. So this is very neutral, as you can see, because when I first got into makeup, I didn't know how to work with, you know, something as vibrant. Where is it? As vibrant as some of these ColourPop shades, like that hot pink in the middle. Like, I would not know what to do with that. So I definitely went with safer colors. And like I said, this palette has definitely gone through several renditions. I could link you to some old blog posts, I'm sure, because I definitely sort of updated people on the making of this palette as the year progressed. So then we could also see when I first got these. These are probably like, some of these are 8 years old, I'm sure. Like, not sure everybody still wants to put that on their face, but as you can see, they all look fine. I know there is one shade, which is vanilla, right here in the corner, that is dead. This is completely dried up. It does swatch a little bit now that I put my finger in it, but I really have to press very hard, and then it has like no payoff when I swatch it. Like, everything just sticks to my finger. So I've definitely tried scraping off some of the top. So again, I may have to do something with that vanilla shade at some point, but that's the one I know doesn't swatch. Everything else is still fine. But this one, I think if I can get some powder to come off it, I can start using this to set my eyeshadow base with, I'm sure, and I can actually use it up. And what you should know about this palette as well is that I used to have some like pink shades in here and other things, and yeah, then I didn't have that many mattes, and then I wanted more mattes, so this has gone through several renditions. So let me tell you about how I laid out the palettes. I have all of my light, sort of like inner corner highlights, blending kind of shades at the top. The second row is my lid shimmer colors. Then we have all of my basic mattes. Then we have a row with like plums and coppers. And then we have a row with like peaches and greens. So then we get the colors. So this is like all the neutrals and then the colors. This is why if you see my entire single shadow collection, you will notice that I don't have a lot of neutrals anymore. And the reason is this palette, because I have all the standard shades I could possibly want. And then I've got a couple in my Makeup Geek, and that's about it. So that's why I really went with like blue-green and like cool tones and like things to really update it more and make it more my vibe. But that's why, because so many brands just do neutrals. And I kind of feel I have everything in like some single palettes already. I didn't really feel like I had to go for that. So let's just start. I think I can name these off the top of my head because MAC names did stick with me. And of course, at the time, I didn't have that many eyeshadows yet. So I'm pretty sure I can talk you through without having to take all of these out. So we already saw that my vanilla shade, like, it swatches, but then it doesn't really transfer. And I haven't used that shade for such a long time because back in the day, all I did was use this as a brow bone highlight. Like, who remembers that? A matte brow bone highlight in this shade. Or maybe something as this. Like, I know that was a thing. Like, 10, 15 years ago, that was all that I was about. So not something I'm still doing for sure. But yeah, this just doesn't really swatch. So then we move on to Dazzle Light. And that, as you can see, perfectly fine. This is such a stunning, this is like, this could be a face highlight. This is really, really, really stunning. I love this shade. Great inner corner highlight. I'm not sure if you can see. Let me take it out anyways. I'm not sure if you can see, but this definitely has a dent That's how often I've used it. And then next to that is nylon. Who remembers the craze for nylon? And I definitely go between Dazzle Light and nylon for like inner corner highlights when I go for these shades. As you can see, Dazzle Light has a bit more peach to it. It has a bit more warmth. And nylon is a little bit more of like a vanilla, like white gold kind of shade, which I love. Now this next one, if I'm correct, is Arena, which is a shade nobody had, but I did. And this is one of my oldest MAC shades. Like, this is definitely one of the first ones I bought. And it's a very light golden peachy tone. So this is why I also don't understand why vanilla no longer works, because I definitely got that later, but this shade is fine. This is very much like my skin tone, but then with a satin finish. And back when I didn't dare to do much with my makeup, I would wear this in the crease and Shale, which is this light purple here, all over the lid. And I think that was it. Maybe I had blackberry in there too, but like that was it. Oh, no. And then this very pale one that I got later, I think. But it was like sort of like these two shades. And I remember, because I definitely went to a MAC counter when I decided to buy MAC for the first time. And these were the two shades that the makeup artist used on me. So Arena is an OG shade. If you saw me like back when I was first starting teaching and doing all that, I wore Arena in the crease and Shale all over my lid. Like that was the look. Now I'm a little unsure on these. I know one of these is Naked Lunch. This is Naked Lunch. Oh wow, that I know this still. Yeah, and Naked Lunch never had the best payoff. You definitely had to like get that up to scratch. And this is again like an inner corner highlight, champagne-y kind of shade. And then right next to it is Jest. And that was always my favorite. Again, this is one that I have longer, I've had for longer than Naked Lunch. And do you see that it's like Naked Lunch, but a little bit more intense? So it's got a bit more of a pinky vibe. So where Dazzle Light has like a peachy vibe and Nylon has like a yellowy vibe, this one has like a pinky vibe to it, as does Naked Lunch. Let me see if I can build this up a bit more. So yeah, I know that very often people complain nowadays about MAC shades not being pigmented. It's just, you know, back in the day, this was lovely because you can just see if you just build it up a little bit, it works, it works. And then this last very light shade is called Yogurt. And it's exactly the same shade as Vanilla, but Vanilla is yellow toned and warm. And this is more cool toned because it's pinky purple. It's like a very, very pale lilac. And do you see that this is still absolutely fine as well? Like, and that I used all the time as well as like a brow bone highlight. I would now use it as like a blend shade to make sure I get a perfect blend. I don't really use these kind of like very light matte shades anymore. It's just not my vibe. Shall we move on to the fun row of shimmers here in the middle? And here we will find some OG MAC shades for sure. I mean, woodwinked, patina, satin taupe. Like, who didn't own these back in the day, right? Right? Am I right? If you were a MAC fan back in the day, you would wear that. But let's start off with this shade here. This is called Honeylust, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, this is retrospeck. I thought it was Honeylust, but retrospeck has the same texture as Honeylust, and Honeylust is right next to it. Yes, that's a bit more golden toned. So these are very sort of grainy. I believe this is their frost finish. And it's not everyone's favorite because these are quite flaky and you kind of need to build them up. But again, these as like a topper over something or in the inner corner, retrospeck in the inner corner was like if I wanted to amp it up, like I would go for retrospeck. I remember that. Like, and right now you look at this, it's like, it's not even foily or metallic, you know? But this, for a very subtle look, it just works. And then this has to be satin taupe. No, that's patina woodwinked satin taupe. That's how they're laid out. And patina it's such an interesting shade. Oh, this is like, these are my three OG one shadow look and you're done kind of vibe. And patina it's a lot more brown than I remember it being. I remember it being more cool tone, but it's like, it's got a bit of plum, it's got a bit of brown, it's got a bit of gold, it's got a bit of everything, and that's why it works. Woodwinked, I'm not sure if you can see how big of a dent that has, but this is like MAC's classic, like very soft golden shade all over the lid. these shades just look a little dated now that I look at it. Like, this is what we wore like 10 years ago for sure. This is satin taupe. Yeah. Another one with a huge, huge dent in. Again, not very taupey probably for my oh no, it is. It's definitely more taupe than I had expected. I thought woodwinked was lighter than it actually is, but satin taupe. Oh, it's a classic. And then we have amber lights and mulch. That's the bronzy brown. So this is something I didn't really wear. Like, this is how I kind of found out that warm tones don't work on me, because it's very orange. So I haven't used that one a lot, but mulch, this was my outer V shade for a very long time. Yes, I definitely have no issues putting shimmers, especially if they're like lighter shimmers like this, like not something super metallic foily kind of stuff, but like a more satiny kind of shade works perfectly in the crease. So there we have all those like mid-tone shimmers. Love it. So we have a full row of mattes down here, and I do have to say that this matte section is the one where I'm like these look all alike, so I never know, but I know one of them, is it this one? Oh, this is malt. I forgot I owned this. Like, I still wear something this light because this is, to me, is a better blend shade than something like vanilla. So, but this is like my skin tone, so this probably doesn't show up. And then next to that, I think this is corduroy. Oh, this is wedge. Wedge. First wedge, and then one of these is corduroy. That's, again, a very light, transition-y kind of shade. I remember everybody being about that. This shade, I really had to hunt down. Soft brown. It was discontinued for a while, and then people were saying it was different, and I never tried the first version, so I wouldn't know. Like, these are so close to my skin tone that I don't think they'll really show up. And then this is corduroy. No, corduroy. Corduroy was a duo I owned by NARS. Corduroy, which is, this was the only matte I had by MAC for a very long time, because this is a great crease shade. Like, these are more like blendy shade, and then this in the crease, it's just lovely. And then this has to be Swiss chocolate. Yeah. So this is a very nice reddish brown. So corduroy is a bit more cool toned. This is a bit more warm toned. Like, that's sort of how this palette plays out. And then over here we have blackberry. Yeah. Which, this has always been a shade that doesn't swatch very well. Yeah, this is very dry. But this has nothing, this shade has always been a bit problematic, but I would pair it a lot with shale when I became a bit more daring and arena was too light. I went in with blackberry in the crease, and with a brush, this works absolutely fine. It's just atrocious in a swatch. And then I think this is embark. This is one that I got later. Yes, because I felt like, if this is all you have, you don't have that much depth, and I became a little bit more confident with my makeup skills. So that's why I got this really nice, deep, like dark brown to really round off the palette, you could say. So yeah, those are the matte shades that I have by MAC. And I know people look at this now and go like, oh, but that's terrible quality. It's buildable. Yeah, that's the word, buildable. And I know not everybody likes that, and what you see promoted on Instagram and other YouTube channels is very much like, boom, pigment and you're done. But if you have, let's call it more mature lids, or if you're someone like me who does their makeup when it's like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, and you don't have an hour and a half to work on a makeup look, and you just need to go do, 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 and you want it to look natural and okay in an office/school setting, then MAC is still great, great quality, you guys. Yes, is this a little, like, compared to what's out there now, are there better quality eyeshadows out there? I think so, but it really depends on what you're looking for in eyeshadow. And I do have to say, like, I swatched Satin Taupe again, and I'm like, oh, my heart. And I know I'll feel the same way about this shade. This is Shale. And Shale is like your perfect gray-toned lavender. And this is a shade nobody ever talked about. This all over my lid, like this together with, oh, I just want to swatch Satin Taupe right next to it. Do you see what a perfect little duo that is? Oh, so stunning. I love it. This is Beauty Marked, which is another like darker shade that I got a bit later too, because I've got quite a few like plummy kind of shades in here, so I also wanted something plummy to deepen things up. And this is, again, terrible in a swatch. But this is like a deepened, like you can see it better on my finger what it might look like actually than in a finger swatch. So it's got a very black and purple kind of base, and then it has that really stunning burgundy sparkle. This does show up if you foil it. And I really bought this to be like a liner kind of shade because it kind of reminds me of Blackheart by Irma Decay in the Naked 3. And that is one of my favorite shades as eyeliner, and now I have it like a single. This is Sketch, I believe. Yes, Sketch. Who remembers everyone's obsession with Sketch? Like, this was everyone's favorite shade. And this, again, like Blackberry, is terrible in a swatch. Like, it looks so dry. But this, again, I promise you, if you put this in the crease together with Blackberry and then Shale over the lid and then that as liner, it's a stunning look. It's a really, really stunning look. I'm sorry, I got distracted, the doorbell rang. So I was talking about Sketch being a perfect look together with like Blackberry, Shale, beauty marked all over the lid. I know, these don't swatch this way because they're old, right? They've always done this. So, but that's just, you know, that's the kind of shadow we used to have, people. And I still love these dearly. Then we have, oh, OG, Cranberry. Who remembers this? This was my favorite shade. Like, this is how I kind of remember that I liked berries in terms of warm tones, because that is just yummy. And then right next to it is, oh, what's this again? Star Violet. How could I forget? Like, MAC had two kind of shades, like Stars and Rockets, I think, and Star Violet. And this is, oh my, it's like a plummy, purpley kind of shade, and then it has a golden shift. I don't have anything like it in my collection. Oh, do you see that? Oh, so stunning. But it's also plummy. So again, something like this with like these kind of shades, or with like satin taupe, it works really, really well. I love it. Then we have Coppering, which is a really nice copper. Nothing too special to say about that. Again, I used to think I was very much into warm tones, mainly because that's what everybody was promoting, of course. So that's why I was like, oh, I need to have warm tones. And this is Antique. I think it's just called Antiqued. Yes, Antiqued. And this is a very, very nice, like more warm tone brown shade. It's got like this reddish undertone, so that goes really well with something like Coppering or Cranberry. Mulch is really nice with it too. So, so stunning. And then I'm going to start from this side to that side because these are my three newest MAC shadows. So I want to end on that note. Over here in the corner we have two, again, MAC's classics. Who remembers Paradiso? Or is it Paradisco? I always forget. Paradisco. And it's this really nice corally kind of shade, like peachy coral, but it has the most stunning golden shift to it. Like, this is not duochromes. It's like a satin finish, but this all over the lid, and again, then something like soft brown in the crease. It makes for such a soft, natural look that you can just use on like everyone. Like, anybody can look good in a shade like this, you know? It doesn't matter. Even with my fair skin, because it's such a light shade and nothing too kapow, I can still make this work. Next to it, Expensive Pink. Oh, and this is Paradisco, but then more golden toned. I think I could have done with just one of these, but Expensive Pink, I remember being all the rage after like a Dutch beauty blogger called Vera Camilla was just raving about this shade. I definitely bought this because of her. Aw, I still watch Vera's videos, by the way. If you're looking for a good Dutch beauty blogger, follow her on Instagram. She's not currently making too many videos, but I still love her stuff. She's one of the very few like OG beauty bloggers from the Netherlands who stuck to beauty, and I'm so happy about it. Next up is Humid, right? Yes, this is Humid. Ooh, I knew that. Yes, Humid. Lovely, lovely forest green. Again, it's a satin, but I put this in the crease like my life depended on it. And then a shade that is very similar to these two shades up here, Retrospeck and Honeylust. This is Green Smoke, and this is one of those frost finish shades that doesn't really look like it will do much. Like this way you can see it the best. But this again, on the lid, and especially like topped, let me do that. Topped over humid. Like, can I make this work? Because that's sort of what I used to do. Like it has a greenish undertone to it, and then it just can really tone down that foresty green shade and make it a bit more wearable. And then now we get to the 3 shades of which I've forgotten the names because I got them and then I put them in the palette and I did one look with it. This is, what's this called again? Sumptuous Olive, which I thought could very nicely like round out, like having a bit more green here, but it also goes with this. It's a gold, like an olivey gold, and in terms of golds, if it has this like greenish undertone, that's the only thing that I really like. So that's why I got that. And then I think this matte one is Plumage. Yes, Plumage, which, you know how I feel about teals. And to have a stunning matte teal, and this does swatch really, really well. Yeah, MAC has definitely changed their formula a bit. Wow, do you see that? I love that shade. Like teal and taupe is my, like these 2 shades together. Oh, or this, like with those plums, like teals and plums go really well together too. And then I needed one more to round things off, and this is Steamy. So I kind of went with something a bit brighter that could again go with that teal shade. This is more like a, it's a turquoise. It's a bit, it's kind of like a brighter version of Sydney Grace's Dive that I also own. It's like a turquoisey blue with like a golden shift. So these are the kind of bluey shades that I like. But this has a little bit more green to it as well. Like if you can put it with the green, you can put it with a teal. Again, I really like that juxtaposition of this little corner here, like with the purples and the, oh, so nice. So yeah, that's the bottom row. That's my MAC palette. I definitely need to try and find a replacement for that vanilla shade now. So as I mentioned, this palette has been a work in progress for years and years and years. Whenever there's a shade I no longer like, I take it out, and then whenever I'm at a MAC store, I buy another single. And so this just has my heart. Like, I'm a neutrals girl at heart, no matter how much I like to wear colorful makeup. But this just, not only because it's a throwback, but also because there are still shades in here that I truly like patina, satin taupe, retrospeck, honeylust. These 2 greeny shades down here, these plummy shades, these 3 newer greeny shades. All of these mattes, like, this just works so well with the kind of makeup that I personally still like to do till this day. So I don't know, I don't understand why people don't give MAC some more loving. Yes, do I understand that there are now better quality shadows out there? For sure. I think of Sydney Grace. I think, in terms of like singles, Makeup Geek definitely changed the game there too. ColourPop does some really nice things. In terms of palettes, you know, there are so many things that are just really, really great, and also, depending on where you live, more affordable than MAC. But in terms of undertones, how shades play together, MAC to me still takes the cake. So I still love this palette. I'm definitely not going to get rid of it anytime soon. So I hope you like my little rant and my raving about MAC shadows here today. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please stay tuned for more videos in my single shadow week, because those are currently coming your way. And then I hope you just have a really great day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye!